Hello and welcome to another Big Finish video. In today's Big Finish video I'll be taking a look at a Torchwood release which is Dissected, which is Freema Agyeman's Big Finish debut. Now I have reviewed a few other Torchwood releases. I've reviewed Night of the Fendal and The Green Life, which I'll leave little cards there and a link in the description below to those reviews if you want to know my thoughts on those two stories. Now I've been on a bit of a Torchwood sort of marathon. I've been watching Torchwood from Series 1 to Miracle Day, and I've picked up a few Big Finish stories, and Dissected was one of them. And obviously I was quite intrigued to see how Martha Jones and Freema Agyeman is on Big Finish, so I thought I'd give this one a go and I thought I'd review it for you. So without further ado, let's dissect this story. That was a terrible joke, but yeah, let's dissect Dissected. So taking a look at the presentation for Torchwood Dissected. So the cover, we basically have the sort of unit laboratory there with the unit logo there and some sort of explosions. We've got Gwen in a very action pose and then Martha there. Torchwood Dissected by Tim Foley. The side of the release and the back of the release. If you want to know more about this story, then do feel free to pause, and you take your running time for this story being 1 hour. So taking a look at the leaflet now, so if we open it up we have production credits for this release, and we have a cast photo of Freema Agyeman there holding the script there, recording the story, and then on the back we have the cast list for the story with the whole sort of Torchwood motif there. As you can see, it is basically a two-hander between Eve Miles and Freema Agyeman. And the disc art for this release. So what are my opening thoughts on Torchwood Dissected? Well, I think that this is a great little story to break Freema Agyeman back into the world of Doctor Who, with it essentially being a two-hander between Gwen and Martha for 50 minutes, which covers a lot of ground in its runtime, with us learning, what happened to Martha, what she's been up to, and where Gwen and the Torchwood team are up to since Martha last saw them. So the story is all centred around a dissection. I guess the clue's in the title, really, with Gwen bringing this mysterious body. So if you've listened to Regeneration Impossible, it all centres around a dead body, but Dissected does it much better in my opinion. So Gwen brings Martha this body to examine, which is quite a fun little parallel actually, because Martha's first actual TV story sort of began with an autopsy, and her first Big Finish story, basically begins the same really. Now one little detail I loved about this story at the beginning was the sound design, because when you start listening to it you might think, oh, it seems a little bit quiet, a little bit muffled. But once the body bag is unzipped, the sound basically returns to normal, giving you the impression that you are the body in the bag, which I thought was quite immersive and just instantly makes you feel like you're a part of the story. So I think that was a great little touch to the story, so I like that little addition to it. So we have Martha agreeing to examine the body, or else this story wouldn't really happen otherwise if Martha said no. So this is basically Martha saying this is her goodbye gift to Torchwood, because Martha's about to move to another unit station, with Martha going all over the world with unit, and Gwen wants answers and closure to this body, So throughout the story we have this great, wonderful character moments between them, where they're sort of being a bit of an upmanship, which organisation's better, is Torchwood better or is unit better? And that provides quite some electric dialogue, and there's quite a bit of animosity between the two characters actually, as Martha very much just wants to get on and do her job and go to a surprise goodbye party, while Gwen just wants to catch up. So we see the difference in technology and methods from each organisation, and us learning that both organisations have their troubles. Gwen described UNIT as a black hole, that bodies are never returned to their families, while Martha says that sadness is baked into Cardiff Bay. So back to the body. That's very exciting, isn't it? Back to the dead body. The centre of the mystery, the centre of the story really. As we learn of a crashed spaceship with UNIT getting there first, but the body Gwen brought was found 2 miles away from the crash site. Now the body is dead, but the scanner is showing life signs. But there have been no reports of missing people, so Jack and Yanto are investigating that side. Jack always keeping a space open for Martha to join Torchwood. So we learn about the body, why do the hairs and nails matter? Because Gwen's very persistent, going, look, this is odd, this isn't natural. While Martha's trying to put sort of logical reason behind it, sort of medical terms and all that kind of thing, trying to apply logic. And why does the body's DNA keep changing? As it's a chameleon. So we have some excellent sound design for the body, with a sort of eerie breath voice, and the sort of crunching sound of the maggots. And we learn that sort of doesn't fit with the timeline of events. Why is this body already decaying that fast when it's only been, sort of 2 days, I think? So why would maggots already be sort of in the body already, so that's quite an interesting thing to sort of discover. We do have quite a funny little moment mentioned at the sort of Torchwood Christmas party, that the waitresses all turned out to be Dravin. Now that's a story I would love to hear. The main theme, what I love about this story, is that both characters are looking too deep into the situation, but they're both wanting something exciting and not just a mundane thing, you know, it just being an everyday body. They want something a little bit different and exciting. You know, with the body being this chameleon, you know, there's sort of a sense of, do they trust each other, you know, and this sort of brings up the theme of how well do Gwen and Martha actually know that they're friends, but how much do they know about each other's personal life? So I think that creates some interesting drama between the two characters when we learn that the body is a sort of a chameleon. So the final 10 minutes are brilliantly tense as the body comes alive, with it trying to be this sort of perfect corpse. So we have an interesting resolution as it's very sort of a Torchwood style ending, and you know, has Gwen given Martha the chance to finally say goodbye to Unit. You know, the story does end rather open-ended, so we could hear more Gwen and Martha adventures, and sort of this becomes sort of a new pairing like Andy and Owen. That'll be quite cool to have some more Gwen and Martha stories down the line. So moving on to character now with Martha Jones, played by Freema Agyeman. Wow, it's like she's never left. She does a brilliant job, and just listening to behind the scenes of this story, you can tell how excited she is to be back with such enthusiasm, as this story leaves a lot of questions with Martha, you know, what she's been doing with Unit. And we see how Unit has changed her, you know, with her being very much tied up in her protocol, with her being very focused to get her job done, with her being very sort of methodical, tired and, you know, working on the edge. And we have sort of her medical skills come into play, obviously with dissecting the body, with her going full detective. We have her faithful loyalty, we have her military training, you know, comes in handy towards the end, and the name dropping like the Doctor. And we have her sort of being very sceptical of Torchwood technology, which is quite a fun little dynamic really throughout the story. Gwen, played by Eve Miles, another brilliant performance, you know, her being quite bubbly to Martha and wants Martha to see past all the protocols and look at the bigger picture. We have a caring nature of her wanting to get closure for the family of the person's body. You know, she hates paperwork, and sort of the start of investigations because, you know, there's no answers there. You know, so she's got quite itchy feet to solve this mystery. We have some great action moments, as you would expect for Gwen. And we have this quite underlying sadness, you know, when Martha jokes about Torchwood technology and she goes, oh, Tosh program. So it's quite nice that despite the sort of bubbly nature and that sort of caring and that drive, there's still sadness there about Tosh and Owen dying. So I think that was a really nice addition to the story. And we sort of have a great Gwen sort of one-liners, but Martha is just still rather sassy. Martha still gives some sassy answers back, which is rather cool. So what are my overall thoughts on Torchwood Dissected? Well, I really enjoyed Dissected. I definitely enjoyed it more on re-listen, as the story is rich in its character themes, of you thinking that Martha seems a bit off and you think that is she a clone. But she's acting off for a very different reason. The music helps push the pace and the atmosphere of the latter half of the story, with the music having sort of a clinical feel which fits the story's tone very well. The story you can just easily picture in your head. I think that's a really strong thing for a good audio. I think that if it's a good story you can easily visualise. I think that it explores the dynamic and the friendship between Martha and Gwen really well. It has some great twists, especially involving the body, because you're constantly questioning, and obviously you're very much like Gwen and Martha in the sense that you're kind of expecting a little bit more from it. You're expecting that, oh, is it just a normal body? Is it an alien? So there's a lot of themes thrown throughout it, and it's got some great twists and turns. And I think that this is just a great self-contained story, and I think that this is quite a beautiful thing about the Torchwood monthly series, is that they are very good little self-contained stories. I know at the beginning of the monthly series for Torchwood, you had this sort of committee sort of series, but that's now been sort of thrown into the Gods Among Us and Aliens Among Us series. But the Torchwood stuff, you know, is very much self-contained stories, and I think that's what makes these quite accessible and just really fun to listen to. So I've definitely really enjoyed listening to this, and I really hope we have more Gwen and Martha stories in the future, because this story definitely leaves the door open for more stories featuring these two characters. So overall, I'm going to give Torchwood Dissected an 8.5 out of 10. I really did enjoy this one. I thought that it's just rich in character, some great twists and turns. The sound design's excellent. The sort of little touch of the sound design at the beginning with the sort of muffled and quieter sound to give you the impression that you're sort of the body in the bag. I just think that was a great little touch. It's quite immersive in that sense, so you're definitely immersed in the story straight away. It's just a great way to spend 50 minutes learning of what happened to Martha. And like I said, it definitely does leave the door open for more Martha's story. So thank you very much for watching this Big Finish review. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. So thank you very much, and goodbye.